You haven't been playing.
No.
You can air me out like that. Go ahead.
Not playing. Entertaining. The whole conversation was about
actually good because
the whole conversation was about
you
ambition.
fully agree with me?
No. The whole conversation
here
was
we
about
go.
The whole conversation was about ambition.
Please love yourself more than you've ever loved yourself before entering a relationship. And in the same vein, get to financial stability before you enter a relationship, because you don't want either of those reasons to be the reason you stay in the relationship.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Coaches Don't Play podcast, which I feel like that name isn't really relevant anymore, but we'll talk about that later. Okay.
Whoa, what? Off the bat? You're going to tell me you've been playing?
Huh?
Huh?
Oh, I haven't.
You haven't.
But
You haven't been playing.
No.
You can air me out like that. Go ahead.
Not playing. Entertaining, but not playing. There's a difference.
All right.
You've been full court.
I haven't. No, not full court.
I'm joking.
We've put up jumpers. We've been warming up.
Guys, we've been gone for a while. Literally, like, what, 2 months? Is it 2 months now?
Mm-hmm.
There's been some crazy big changes. I think the biggest change out of it all, though, like the most life-changing change, is that the Celtics are up 3-0.
I thought you were going to say graduation.
Against the Dallas Mavericks.
You started your new job.
But guys, the Celtics are back, and I did not find the man.
There's so many things to go off of.
No, because imagine if
you decided to talk about the Celtics.
And they think they're but the Celtics is a huge deal. Like we haven't won a championship since 2008, and tomorrow's our last game. We're about to sweep. I'm just excited. Okay. Anyways.
Okay. That's not your last game.
We are sweeping tomorrow. There's no way they're coming back. We're not going to make this
all right, this is not a sports podcast.
Yeah, you can watch
Nobody
Sports Center
cares.
for that. But I just
the
wanted
Warriors
to
have been a dynasty. You get your fun now.
Then how many championships do you guys have? Okay, thank you.
When did you win those?
The last one was in 2008. And the next one's about to be 2024. All right.
No,
anyway.
Most of those
like
17 were one.
It's not a sports podcast, right?
You're right. You started it, though. Like, you should have just talked about.
No, but I was making an announcement.
Okay.
And you should have allowed
There's 3 things I mentioned that you could have mentioned.
Okay, but I will now.
Okay, cool. Start with the third one.
What's the third one again? What'd you say?
What'd I say?
Oh, Pac was in a relationship. So that's
not in a relationship.
That's why he cut his hair.
Okay.
So we'll get into that.
Because that's coming. We've talked about this. I do look crazy because of the timing of everything.
Yeah, please explain what's going on, Paco. What happened? Last episode you had curls. Luscious 4C curls.
And no. We're going to talk about whatever the fuck happened with me later. Because that shit is crazy. It's amazing, but it is kind of crazy.
I was going to say, do you know how many people, I've told you this, how many people called me that day?
Yeah, people.
That you posted on Instagram and were like, is he okay?
Yeah.
Like, are you helping him? Is he depressed? Like,
wait, the day that I posted the story?
Yes. Well, no. The day you posted the picture of you with no hair.
Oh, that's worse?
No, that was worse.
People were actually
in crisis.
Stressed.
I got so many texts that were like, what is going on? Why would he do that? But then it quickly turned into, Paco kind of looks hot like that.
Hey, yo, let's go. Period. But hear me out. I dropped the video on it. You guys can go check out the other video on why I cut my hair. I think every man should go through a big change like this just because it's essential. And women should go out without makeup. That's my hot take. Go ahead.
What does that have to do with the haircut?
Because men, you didn't watch the video. That's crazy. But men's hair is equivalent to like a girl's makeup. So if you're fully not confident leaving the house without makeup, much like a man is probably not confident leaving the house with his hair all weird, or like men spend a lot of time on their hair, as do women spend a lot a lot on makeup.
Clearly with the with the waves.
They're coming.
Yeah.
Feel me? They're coming in. You graduated.
I graduated college. Yeah, that's crazy.
Congrats.
Thank you. It feels a little wild. Paco's not coming to my graduation party. And he made a video without me, guys. I feel like he's been throwing signs of breaking up with me.
She didn't watch the video. We don't even fuck with each other. We're just here.
Nah, never. This is our first time talking, actually.
Yeah, we haven't talked in 2 months.
No.
The only time we talk is for these videos.
100%.
Okay, but
I'm in scrubs because I started a new job. I work at a
right.
women's health clinic
Yeah.
now, so I love it. It's a lot, but It's been good.
Yeah.
Paco knows.
So that's 1 and 2. What about the third one? That I mentioned.
There's no update there, so
Have
I don't know
coaches,
why.
because coaches, you said coaches were playing.
Coach was playing. Coach. My co-coach.
Did you say coach?
My co-coach was playing.
Okay. But you weren't playing at all? Ever? You never
No.
played?
What? Here's the thing. What does it mean to play?
Exactly. So I've never played.
You know, what does it mean? No, because what does it mean to play?
Have you played or not?
No, because what does it mean to play? Okay, I don't think we've ever defined that. This is going to be. See, this
have you played or not? Why are you making this more complicated?
No, but what does that mean? Have you played?
Have you played?
What is the definition of playing, though?
Technically, I've played. No, not even. I've played.
You've won the game.
Won the game? I'm still single.
Sorry, you played half the game. You're half time.
No, I didn't even really get in the game. I just put up warm up shots. That's
no. You scored. You came in like Peyton Pritchard.
Playing to me is being in a relationship.
Okay, maybe like Peyton Pritchard. Like you're not playing the whole time, but
Peyton Pritchard's a bucket. What you mean? Like I wasn't.
All right, Tillman X last night at the game. Just a 3-point shot you put up.
It's actually crazy notice how you've never made a Celtics reference until they're in the finals. This is shit I'm talking about. All right, I don't want to get into it.
I'm not doing this because people who know me know I've been a Celtics fan my whole life. But
I've never heard her talk about the Celtics. This is the first time.
It's like not true.
And it's just frustrating at this point because now she's gonna drop 2 Celtics players. Like she definitely just looked that up. You definitely looked that up for the finals.
I just looked that up? I looked that up?
For the finals. You definitely looked it up for the finals. And we're like, who is that? Oh, he's kind of cute. Yeah.
Neither of the people I listed are cute, but okay.
You're calling them ugly?
They're just not my type.
Which means they're ugly?
No. To each their own.
But you wouldn't find them attractive.
No, but doesn't mean that.
First, it's bandwagon. Now, it's just mean.
Okay, so if I don't find you, I don't find you're what did we say? You're attractive, but I'm not attracted to you. Would that mean that I think you're ugly?
That's the next question.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, but anyway, guys, we're back. We're back. But today, you know what? Paco and I have argued. Actually, it's big on TikTok right now, or I guess last week it was. But Paco and I have kind of had conversations about this, but I don't think we've ever like done it in the podcasting space about what it means to be a provider and this whole 50-50 conversation.
Yep.
Because for context, I mean, this is like I feel like an argument as old as time.
It'll never go away.
It will never go away. Every year, people are going to, honestly, every 3 months, people are going to discuss it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is what it means to be a provider, but specifically, it's, I guess, this thing about like men being the provider. So men having to financially provide for their wives. And we're speaking, the argument was made from a heterosexual standpoint, so we're speaking man and woman. I just want to give context because it's different for every relationship. Well, I guess that brings up a new conversation of what it looks like in same-sex relationships. But in the context of a heterosexual relationship, there's this whole argument now that men are supposed to provide like everything. So financially, and often, emotionally and that sort of thing. There was a famous TikToker, Monet McMichaels, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Monet McMichaels. Everybody loves her and Jalen Noble's relationship. Like, they're obsessed with it, blah, blah. They were huge. Well, like, last week, everybody, like, turned on him. Paco, these reaction videos were, like,
seen them.
There must have been, like, 1,000. Like, 1,000 reaction videos. And it's everybody being, like, oh, of course he's like this, like, because she makes more money than him, like, he can speak like that. And he got on a podcast and said basically, like, it's not fair for, in this day and age, in this economy, for men to expect it to be 100% the provider. It's not fair, and it doesn't make sense. And he says that it changes things when you have children, because then maybe that's a whole different conversation of like, okay, who's staying at home and who's being the breadwinner. Mm-hmm. Then he can see about the man being like 100% the provider, but he doesn't agree with like.
But still, even then, I'll even go one step further than him. Like, why does it fall on the man to be 100% the provider?
Yeah, and that was a whole argument.
I'll tell you why.
But it basically is like, should relationships be 50-50? Mm-hmm. That is the whole argument of like. And should it be that a man should 100% be providing for their partner?
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear your take on this.
First off, if you're thinking in terms of like 50-50, you're already at a loss.
Yeah.
Because you're going in with the understanding that this is more of a transactional relationship rather than what it should be is two people coming together to, like, despite their financial situations. And I know that's not to say that you don't look at finances, right? You want to be safe. Yeah. You want to feel comfortable. And that should play some...
Is that true, Fargo?
What do you mean?
Because you and I have gotten into a little bit about like dating people or being in a relationship people that make less money than you and how important are finances in a relationship.
No, I said that because somebody would be like, oh, then would you jump at the idea of a perfect person, but they're houseless and they have no like backing, you know, like they're not financially stable.
Okay.
And if somebody were to ask me that, like, would you do it? I would say most likely not, but not because they're houseless or not because they're financially unstable. Because if I was dating someone and I thought they were perfect and things led them to get to that point, like during our relationship, I'd be like much more open to the idea because something like the context is important. But there's going to be someone that's like, oh, well, would you just jump at the idea? What if somebody's houseless? Like, would you still want to date them? I would need context for sure. That's why I said that.
Okay.
But in reality, it doesn't fucking matter.
Okay.
Like how much money your partner makes, what their job is, their status, none of that matters. Like wholeheartedly, none of that matters. And two people should come together, obviously, to make this beautiful family, and there's going to be decisions you have to make. But if you're thinking 50-50, you're already fucked up. Like,
I don't agree with you though that the financial piece doesn't matter at all.
Well, I just said to a certain extent it does.
Yeah.
But if you even go in with 50-50 mindset, I'm telling you, you're going to lose. I promise you, because you're thinking in terms of like what you can bring to the table. That just doesn't make sense. Let's think of it practically, right?
Okay.
If you have a home to pay, just the way I would do it is like you bring both salaries. You're like, okay, how much? So you hate this, but I would jump at a joint bank account, and I know I'm gonna get a little bit
Wait,
backlash
you think
for that.
it's? Oh, you think I think it's a bad thing?
Yeah.
No, I think you should have a joint bank account with your partner.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Just
dump as much as you can into there, and it'll pay. Just do your part. Like do as much as you can, and it'll pay.
Or he
for
puts
what
all
needs
of it
to be
in there, and I just use it.
Yeah, that's a solution as well.
That was joking. I was joking. No, I think a joint bank account is practical. It makes sense. Also, you know what I hate about this conversation is that it's oftentimes it's celebrities who are getting on these podcasts are saying these things, and then normal people like us, not saying the celebrities aren't normal, but people with regular finances are like, like 100%. It's two different ball games, I think. Like you're talking about people who are making millions versus like the average person who like, why?
About finances, if you make millions, like why are you stressed? I don't understand.
You know?
Yeah.
But I think the argument is that like, if he is making millions, then you should not provide anything.
The woman shouldn't provide anything?
The woman shouldn't provide anything.
Okay, also, this is super important. If I'm making millions, I'll give you an example. When I go out to eat with my friends or my siblings or whoever, I'm always jumping at the idea of let me pay. That's just that's not true. We probably haven't.
Yeah, we haven't gone out to eat.
Yeah,
we really don't like
but that's how. Yeah, that we do not fuck with each other. But I always jump at the idea of paying because this is someone you love, and if you have the means to do it, just do it. Now, if I don't have the means to do it, I won't do it. But luckily, food prices fall within my budget, and so when I go out with friends, and the thing is, No, I don't. I work a volunteer job, but I'm attracted to friends. This is actually one of my like. I don't know. It's not like a checklist, but I do really enjoy when a friend of mine also does the same thing. And my best friends, like if we go out to eat, everyone's fighting for the check. And it's almost become like this thing. And honestly, it'll become like okay, we give up.
Yeah.
You got this one, but you're not getting the next one.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the mindset that I'll bring into a relationship when like I will literally pay every single time that I go out to eat with my friends, and I will literally pay rent every single time if you let me. Like I'm gonna swipe first before you do.
But I think that's different though. Then that is not the 50-50 conversation.
I want it to be 100-0.
Yeah.
But the thing is, my partner will also want it to be 100-0 because that's what my friends want and that's what I expect in my partner.
So you're searching for someone who also has the mentality of like,
and
I
when
got
you go
it.
in with that mindset, fuck the 50-50. Both of you want the best for the other person. So you're not even stressed about, oh, okay, let me look at my budget. This is what I can bring. If you are stressed, that's a whole different conversation. But I'm saying if both of you have these salaries, like you're jumping at the idea, like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? That's more so the mindset that I would go into it with. And it would turn me off if somebody was like, counting, like really counting. That turns me off in a friendship. Like if you're really Venmoing request me for like a
like
couple dollars, like please, I don't even have time to entertain this. I'm gonna send you double of what you asked me and never go out to eat with you again.
Yeah, I agree. But I think so. Here's where I think the conversation gets a little like different. I think, like you said, it's like if you're having two people with two different types of salaries, right? For example, if you're no, let me not dig at teachers, but unfortunately they don't make as much as like a doctor, for example. Let's say you're married to a doctor. He's making $300,000 a year and you're making $70K. Okay. Hopefully it's better, but that's the case. I also think in a situation like that, I do expect my partner to take the heavy bills,
He's
like,
gonna want to,
you're paying them, like you're paying all the big utilities.
He's gonna want to.
Cause it's like, that is not an equal. We're not bringing in the same at all.
I promise you the people that you attract knowing you, he's gonna want to. Cause you would want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
If the roles were reversed, not the roles, if the finances were reversed, you'd want to do the same thing.
So, and then I think piggybacking off of that, a lot of men feel threatened when their wives have jobs that pay more.
Okay.
How do you feel about that? Because that's like a big argument of men. It's like, no, I'm the provider. I'm supposed to be. I think some of it too is like based off of religion.
Yeah.
Of people being like the man's supposed to be the head of the house, like the provider, if you still believe in that. And I think a piece of it's like, well, no, like she shouldn't be making more than me because then I'm not able to fulfill this role that I'm born to think that I have to fulfill.
So when you come in with that mindset, I can see why you're thinking that way, and there's a big pressure on men to be the provider, and the thing is though, I love women who also have that mindset, and it doesn't threaten me in any way, and I don't feel like some people are gonna say, oh, that's very masculine energy. I don't agree with that because I just think it's energy that we all require. Like all of us should desire to be able to provide for yourself before you enter a relationship.
Yeah.
There are going to be times in your relationship, most likely, where you let's talk like a real world scenario, right? So there might be a time when person A and person B in the relationship, person B is like really struggling, trying to find a job, and they're in between. And the beauty of having a partner where you share finances is like person A might be able to be like, yo, I got you for the next couple months. Like take your time, whatever you need. Their gender is irrelevant to me, right? Because next time this comes around, maybe person A is really struggling to find a job in 2 years. They're in a transitional stage. Well, you remember what person B did for you. Like now it's your turn to kind of take most of the weight on and be like, yo, I got you. That's the definition of a beautiful relationship.
I agree.
Not one that you feel like, oh God, like I'm this gender and I don't feel good enough. Like just call it what it is. I'm a man and I don't feel good enough because I can't provide. Also, it's important to note that comes from a very noble place, I feel like, because they want to be that for their family.
They want to give you the world.
They want to give you the world. So I'm not even going to get on people that think like that. I think like that, right? So, but I also expect my partner to think like that. Like, how can I provide for this family? And we're talking finances, but I love a video that you like teased in a second. Like, finances to me.
Yeah, I was about to get into that.
Are like this big when it comes to the relationship. Like, I'm more worried about the other 98%. because yes, you can provide finances, great, but what else are you bringing to the table?
We're gonna get into that, but I also
Yeah.
think a piece on the finances part, and this is why I think like that's why I'm like, okay, I may get some heat for this because I'm not the type to also be like, I need my partner to provide 100% financially. Now, would it be nice to date a man who would be like, babes, like I paid for this vacation, like of course, like I would welcome it. Also, I'm not even gonna lie, I may not welcome it
nice
as open
a man as well.
I wouldn't be, I think, as open to it because I think oftentimes, which I feel like people don't talk about, not every woman is also always accepting of that type. Because I think when you grow up, like for me, for example, when I grew up like super independent and I've worked as soon as I could start working and like kind of provided a lot for myself. I'm not always gonna be like, I feel uncomfortable. Like even now when friends take me out, I'm like, ooh, like I feel uncomfortable. I feel weird. Like let me provide something. So I think that feeling is like a little hard because it's always like, I sometimes myself in that she was like, okay, this may be a lot. Like, yes, you're making a gesture, but like, what can I contribute to make this to help relieve some of it? So I like that. But here's the thing: I also believe, and I think this is what people. One of my friends, when she first started dating her boyfriend, she was like, "Yeah, he's taking me on 4 dates, and like, where's the 5th one?" And I was like, "Have you taken him out on a date?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, no, like that doesn't make sense to me. Like I agree that yes, like he should a lot of times, like I still believe of like, oh, oftentimes, the man should make the first move, like take you out, first couple dates. But the third, like plan a spa day for him, like plan, like go if he likes going to a game. I also 100% believe in you investing and caring in your partner. Like that makes no sense. Like why wouldn't you date your man the same way that he's dating you? Like because I think, is it only one person has like, because a lot of it's like, oh, like for, someone's mental well-being to have self-care. What about his mental health as well? Like, like, and maybe my girls are going to hate on me for this, but I think you should 100% date your man, 100% as well.
No, this is the sign of a beautiful relationship. It's when two people genuinely want the best for the other person. Mm-hmm. So like, I love that you were saying like, oh, if I get taken out on a trip, what can I do? Because that's what, in our traditional world, that's what a man would think if in that scenario, the vacation, or also like if your friend takes her man out on a date, man's also going to think, oh, I feel a little bit uncomfortable because he's coming in with the mindset of like, I need to be the one that like takes the financial burden on this.
And then they get so surprised.
But women should also think this way traditionally, right? Everyone should think this way. Like everyone should want to be the provider in the relationship.
100%.
And that's not a shot at your ego, men. And that's not a shot at women. I don't even know how that would be a shot at you. Like you should want to provide. Women should also want to provide.
And I think a piece of it's like, it's, women do so much and are expected so much of women. And I agree. Like I think society, like, of course, like I think there's a lot of gender aspects to it. Right. But I, for example, like know when I get in a partner, like when I have my partner, I cannot wait to do the thing of like decorating like a hotel room for him or like self-care basket. Like I'm like, that makes me so excited because it's like, what if you love me and you're a provider in other ways, and we'll get into that, and you're also providing financially as well, why wouldn't I also want to pour back into you? Because now we're pouring into, like you said, we're pouring into each other. Of course, it's not 50-50 because nothing in life will literally ever be 50-50. But it's like, you can tell that I'm invested in you. Like, it is not just about what I need in the relationship, but it's like, what do you need as well?
Absolutely.
Like, literally. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so I feel like the second piece, right, like you hinted at this earlier, is about providing more than financial. And you were saying something about how it's like a small percentage of like providing financially that accounts to what it means to provide in a relationship.
Yeah, so I found this before you get into that, I understand. You'd be completely missing my point if finances are super important.
Very important.
You need to feel financially stable in order to feel happy. That's like there's direct correlations between your income, your housing status, all of that. Absolutely, you need to feel safe before you can even do any of this. So it's almost like a super. So I guess a good analogy would be like every single percentage of this equation is super important. So that 2% that I'm talking about, or we can call it 10, 20, whatever you think. I just think it's way smaller than the other big chunk of the relationship, which is what do you actually provide? But that's not this. You can't be at 100% though without this financial
No, 100
part.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So like whatever you want to call it, it could be 1%, 5%, 10%. I don't care as long as it's smaller than the other piece. We can agree, but you still need it, right? Like you're not gonna be fully happy if alone in a relationship with anything if you feel financially insecure.
100%.
So just a distinction.
But also, and I think this is what we're getting into, there are so many stories, and I think more than not, so many stories of people who their partner provides a lot, and that's it, but just money wise.
Just money.
And they are so unhappy.
Absolutely.
Like, it is wild to me, and it's like, why do you stay? Well, it's financially secure.
That feels good though.
That feels
I'm not
good.
Gonna lie,
A lot of women, I think, would rather stay. They're like, well, I wasn't financially secure before.
Yeah.
Now I've seen this life. You may think it's easy to pull back, and I completely respect that, because that is something very difficult. And a lot of reason why people like who that should be divorced stay together often is because of the financial piece. Yeah. It is cheaper to stay married to someone you don't like and have two incomes coming than just one income.
Yeah.
100% respectable. But it also causes for a lot of broken and unhappy people in relationships. So I'm going to play this clip, and it's this guy talking about what it means to properly provide for a woman. And then I want to get your take on it and how you feel, and then I'll respond after. Sound good?
A lot of men think just because you provide financially, that's providing. No. Do you provide direction? Do you provide peace? Do you provide a father for the children you two are going to create? Do you provide healthy STD-free? Do you provide leadership? Do you provide a willing follower when it's time to, when you know she is better at something than you? Do you provide a shoulder to cry on when she going through something? Do you provide calming words, affirmations, validation of this person's position in your life? Too many of y'all are missing the mark because you think providing just means money. Well, that's the tip of the iceberg. So just because a man pays the bills don't mean he actually providing. When the bulk of the work is providing those other things that I mentioned.
Those last two lines were crazy. Just because a man provides financial or whatever,
or the money for the bill,
doesn't mean he provides.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
You're all missing the bulk of the work if you think that that's it. Just because you provide financially, you're good.
Yeah. And there's something that he said that I absolutely love. I love this.
Absolutely.
I love this. And this may be traditional of me. So,
yeah.
Because before I think younger me was like, I want to be leading all the time. And that was very much like,
You want to be leading.
Yeah, at the time when I was younger.
Okay.
When I was young, it's changed crazy enough. But I think at the time when I was younger, I was like, of course, I want to run things. And I think I grew up with a matriarch, my mom very much runs our house. Like my dad's great, but she calls all the shots, 100%. And I think I grew up seeing that and I'm like, that is exactly who I want to be. Now, it's so different, listening to stories from couples who have healthy relationships, talk about it. But you know what though? I would love, I don't even know if I want to say this podcast.
No, I know what you're going to say. And we got to bring it up
say it
in the next episode as well. Because
but I would love to be led.
Yeah. So this this goes back to a conversation that it's been very ongoing with one of my roommates and I, as well as one of my siblings. But the conversation is about feminine and masculine energy. And so I've alluded to it in before, because that's very real. And the older I get, I recognize that it feels like there are these two energies, and I hate that one is masculine and one is feminine. Just that those are the terms attached to it, because it creates a lot of issues around do men want to be more feminine or women want to be more masculine? And I've struggled coming up with a better two, and I'll just default to those because people know what I'm talking about when I say that. But really, I think it comes down to a leader and a follower. Yeah. Right? However, I think that it just goes back to the financial argument that I have.
There are times where
you need to be interchanged. You need to quickly recognize when you're one or the other.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think also this is not to say that like if I was in a same-sex relationship that I wouldn't want to be led by my partner. I think it's both ways. This is not specific.
No, that's exactly why I don't like masculine.
Yeah.
And
This
feminine.
is not specific to men, but I'm just saying there is something that is like I think trusting, right? Of like when you say like what is a provider, that in the way in which you provide that emotional support, that just being more caring and like faithful, that I do want to be led because I trust your decision making, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going into a room and it's like, oh, I know my man has got me. Like, I know and you know what's so crazy? I don't know if we'll leave this part, but I've seen relationships too nowadays that where like sometimes my girlfriends will say like, I have him like wrapped around my finger and he does whatever I want. And then now I look at them and I'm like, it's just interesting because there's moments where I think they're like, I wish you would take more leadership in this. I wish you would make a decision.
You know
like,
what that
I
also
wish
comes
you
down
would
to?
lead me to this next journey in my life. I wish you would encourage this. And I don't think the goal is to have somebody wrapped around your finger like that at all. But I think we say it because it's like, I want a man to almost like but you're not getting a dog and you're not getting a puppet. Like you're not getting someone that you're supposed to be like,
Nobody
hey, like
wants that.
whatever I do, no, like, how are you leading me? Like, how are you leading me to the better version of myself, essentially?
Yeah, no. Oh, I don't like that one bit. But also what it comes down to is you want to see your partner have more self-love.
Mm-hmm.
Like anybody who has
Confidence.
their partner, exactly. Everybody wants, I'm using big terms here, but you want your partner to have confidence, or you should want your partner to have confidence, because confidence means they really love themselves. And so when there's somebody that says, I have them wrapped around my finger, like again, fuck gender, like that, I'm not even, but just that person that they have wrapped around their finger lacks self-love, clearly. And you never want that in your partner. Why
like,
would you want a partner that you can like, well, some people do, but somebody who actually loves themselves and loves that other person does not want someone they can just string along for their ride. I mean, this also goes back to like me just being on this whole playing journey, you know? And I've realized, I'll sprinkle this in, like I've realized now more than ever how crucial it is for you to love yourself. Like it's so, and what I thought was like, yo, I'm at the peak of my self-love.
Yeah, I was gonna call you out on it.
And I do. What do you mean?
I think we may not be able to keep this in, but I think in your reaction, I think it's beautiful to see when you play, right? Because I think you like give your all, like you are in 100%. But I also think you would do that same thing where potentially that person can say, I have them wrapped around my finger. Initially. Because in the way that you're invested and it's like, oh my God, like they're perfect, you can see no wrong in it, like that they do. That can also be a form of, that's a lack of self-love on your part.
But you're so right.
Right? Because it's like, yes, that person can do wrong. And you, not saying that you shouldn't give your all and you should like not invest in it, but you can't immediately drop all your guard and whatever you used to think you don't believe anymore when you meet that person. Because that's a clear sign of you were not confident and secure in yourself. Because when you're confident and secure in yourself, no matter who you meet, they may change you for the better. Obviously, you're supposed to learn and grow as to change, but the root of who you are should not change. And I don't think that happened with you. Like, I don't think the root of who you were changed, but I think you were just like, well, she's perfect. Like, anything can happen. Like, she's perfect. She's great. And she's amazing. And blah, blah. And like, I can stay on the phone with hours and let me forget the world to be in this storm. And it's like, but is that getting too caught up?
Bingo. So that's exactly what I realized, was that I was at the peak of my self-love when I found this person, and we really started to hit it off, and things were moving really fast. And it got to a point where we were both in agreement that this wasn't the right time. And so we basically split paths. We were like, this is the best thing to do right now is for us to not talk to each other. Which we can get into later. There's so, like, context is so important. So just saying that, you might be like, what? Like, was this actually your person then? It still feels like that person could very well be my person.
Yeah.
But I don't. But forget about that. What happened was we were on this path together, realized this is probably not the right thing to do right now. Split paths, and we did it a couple times. And the first time, I was in shambles.
Yeah.
I was actually so sad, like so sad. I can't describe how sad I was. I have no problem saying it. I was like crying. I was sad. I was so sad. I was crying a lot. So I kind of went back to the drawing boards and I was like, hold up 1 second. I should never feel like, and I never felt so. I really do love myself to the point where like, I never feel like I need someone. But there were a couple moments in this sadness where I was like, is that what I'm feeling right now?
I can't live without
like
this
I can't
person.
live without this person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm like, no, you got to get back to the track that you were on. And clearly, this is a clear indicator that you weren't actually ready.
Yeah.
And you need to continue down this self-love path because of this situation and how it opened your eyes to, can you really be alone? Can you really, 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 really be alone for the rest of your life? I think the answer in that moment was no, because I'm like, someone is making me feel like I can't live without them.
Yeah.
Even for a second, because in reality, like I was, and I don't want to downplay how sad I was, but I was good after a couple days because I was able to like, I journaled a ton,
conversation,
and I was able to like be like, okay, we're back to the path that we were on. But still, someone shaking up your world that.
It makes you self-doubt. But I honestly, but then that also makes you like, bringing it back to like the provider conversation, you may think that you're able to provide for that person emotionally in a relationship, but it may come at the expense of your emotions. Because I think once you're not secure and you're in like that little like, you know, like I will give you everything, you will. And some of that may be your mental well-being of like, this person may be draining and you cannot even, this not your situation, but I'm saying in general, like this person could be draining you, but you wouldn't even realize that because you're so infatuated and you're so in love. But then that's not actually being the provider you were called to be, because it's like you're giving it all, but not keeping anything of yourself to be firm in who you are. If that makes any sense at all. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I don't know if that makes sense there.
No, it does.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah, but I don't think it's for how long.
Exactly. No, it can't be permanent.
It can't.
Permanent is bad.
It can't.
But sometimes, much like the financial burden you have to take on, you should also be willing to take on more of a emotional burden in that relationship for the time being. Obviously, you can't put an end date on it, but you also can't put like a timeline on it. Sometimes you are going to need to be there for your partner more than you can bear in that moment. Maybe that's a hot take, but
no, but I think that's when the switch happens of like who's leading who in the moment. Yeah. Right? Because sometimes it may be like, hey babe, I'm tapping out. I need you to lead the situation.
And your partner might be like, I can't even internally might be like, fuck.
Yeah, but you know this is your time to step up.
It's your time.
This is your time to step up.
You might not be ready.
It may be something dumb like that's not dumb, but like maybe you're deciding where your kid's going to school or something, and you're like, I can't right now, and it's like, okay, no, let me take the lead on this and let me figure out the logistics. That itself, I'm like, that is so attractive to me when someone's like, no, like I'm gonna lead on this. Like you sit back, like I'm leading, and it's like, okay.
I cannot wait to bring. We need to have a whole separate conversation about this, but in our next episode, it's gonna be about first dates. Yeah, and. This is so important for the first date conversation.
Should we like close this one off? I think we're like an hour.
We're good. Yeah. We're good. It's done. We'll move on to the next one.
To the next episode.
We're filming it the same day.
Yeah, we're filming
it
the same. So if you see the same outfit, it's hard to schedule. But
I might take the hoodie off.
Yeah, probably I'm keeping the scrubs on. I'm keeping the scrubs. But no, I think in a recap of this conversation, I think we actually have the same view.
I thought we were gonna disagree.
I think it's because that's if you were having a conversation with me in El Salvador last year, we would have disagreed. We would have butt heads.
Low key, we recorded a podcast a couple months ago that we didn't drop, and we won't
disagreed,
drop.
Right?
We definitely disagreed.
We definitely disagreed. Yeah, and this is not me. I'm not these are thoughts of my own. Like, you didn't influence these thoughts. No offense.
Cap.
No, you didn't.
I promise we could play it. You know what?
You didn't.
I might go back to.
You didn't.
You didn't need to say that because now I'm gonna go back.
And the reason you didn't influence those.
That's not true.
No, you really didn't.
All right.
The reason,
you know what? I didn't.
Can I say the reason you didn't is because
Go ahead.
I think part of it is just like these 2 months also working on myself like a lot and understanding and reading a lot more.
No, we don't have to discredit that.
No,
but for you to say that, I promise you, our last talk about finances.
Oh no, do not get me wrong. I stand firm in what I said about the fact that like I think at times in life you cannot always be in a relationship with someone who cannot. I'm not saying they have to meet you equally, but it has to be somewhere where you can survive off of. Like if I am the only sole provider in a house financially and you cannot bring in enough to provide it all for the family financially, I think in the beginning in our honeymoon stage, it may not feel like a lot, but when life gets tough, God forbid I lose my job, things are getting tough with kids. Yeah, it's going to start to hit.
They're going to step up though.
But who knows? Because oftentimes the whole conversation was about
actually good because
the whole conversation was about ambition.
You fully agree with me?
No. The whole conversation was about no. The whole conversation was about ambition. I agree with you about the need to be like it can't always be 50-50 and both people should be the providers. I 100% agree with that. But I also agree with like what you said of like that's when they're gonna step up. I don't know if, for example, let's say it's a 10-year relationship, right? You've never shown interest in growing or being more ambitious in your career or your job, that the moment I lose my job, I can expect for you to step up.
I don't disagree when you say that.
Because then you didn't provide a safety net all those years before to know that if I fail.
I don't disagree.
Okay.
I also wouldn't marry someone in that position. I'm talking about if my partner, this is what we talked about last time, was like a philosopher. And like you don't get paid for philosophy, right? Or if they're so passionate about playing the piano, and that's all they think about. That's all they. Not really. I want you to think about other things, but
I have to see there's a vision there. You know how.
Yeah, but they keep trying, and it's not really hitting. Of course, but that's ambition. You were already saying like the person's not ambitious. They don't want to. I don't want that either. But
sometimes people do not mind it, and that's okay for some people who don't. But there are situations where people are not like when you ask them to ask their partner what their 5-year plan is, the partner does not have a 5-year plan.
That's not attractive to me at all.
But that is because for some people that is not important.
Okay.
I was just saying that for me it is. I'm not saying that you.
Of course, I agree with that. No, but last time we were talking about like some taxi driver and
yes, and which is the same thing. Which was I was saying. It was like the 5-year of like, are you gonna stay a taxi driver for 5 years?
But the thing is, Christy, what did we just talk about? What do you provide? If you are the most perfect person, and you're an Uber driver, I don't give a fuck about that. I really don't.
It's hard for me to see where that's not gonna meddle someday. Like it's hard.
How?
Like I want to believe that, but then I feel like
if the finances are good, right? We're under the assumption that the finances are good, correct?
Yeah.
Because if they're not, of course you're gonna have to try to.
But I think I've seen too many of people being insecure of the other way around, right? Of like you get into a situation. I think that's what also scares me is that like, let's say I don't mind it, right? I'm making $100K. Also, taxi drivers make good money. As someone whose dad's a taxi driver.
Yeah, I was gonna say your dad.
Yeah, he makes pretty good money. But like, let's say that you're in a job that's not making good money, but the finances are good. Okay, but my nervousness would be like, is there a point where that person who's making less ever gets, like we talked about, resentful or a little bit jealous of your success and you're not that person's not even leading in another way, but wants to
because they love themselves.
Okay.
Never.
What's the question?
If you don't love yourself, why the hell are you in a relationship? In order to be in a relationship, you need to be, and I'm glad we talked about finances because we've never talked about this before. We've talked about how you need to be emotionally stable. Yeah. Not just stable. I would go as far as I'm going to go, and especially because what I just went through, fuck stability. You need to be thriving in yourself. You need to love the fuck out of yourself. You need to be so infatuated with your being. And then that's when you're ready emotionally to enter a relationship. Financially, you should want the same thing because we live in a world where you need finances, right? So you should also be financially stable when you enter a relationship. I'm glad we brought finances up, and you should be working towards that, because in the same way that an emotional, like somebody who lacks emotional intelligence, somebody who lacks love for themselves, entering a relationship could create a dependency for the other person on this love, and that keeps them in the relationship. The same goes for somebody who is financially unstable and they're entering a relationship for finances, for more stability, could keep them from experiencing a more pure love, because these things, when you lack something and your partner is providing it, and the fear of leaving is attached to the fear of losing what they provide, then you run into a lot of problems.
100%.
You start to say yes to things you probably wouldn't have said yes to. So, in conclusion, please, please, please love yourself more than you've ever loved yourself before entering a relationship. And in the same vein, get to financial stability before you enter a relationship, because you don't want either of those reasons to be the reason you stay in the relationship.
It's hard for me to agree 100%, because I've seen great relationships thrive when necessarily that person didn't come in thriving and loving themselves and was able to learn, you know.
For sure. They
broke up since, but yes, were they devastated, and it took a little piece of like getting back into things, because it's like, okay, it was hard, because I think a lot of their emotions about themselves were tied to the other person. But I don't think they regret it, because that person allowed them to grow in a level of maturity and love for themselves that they had never experienced. I think sometimes too, this is gonna be okay, going in too deep into it, but I think, like I've said this before, I think especially for Black women who notoriously statistically have a harder time with finding love growing up. Oftentimes, when they're first getting into a relationship, they may not 100% feel confident about themselves. And that is not because of any fault of their own, but just because of how society is set up. And you're being told all your life that you're not beautiful. Sometimes that first time that you experience someone loving you or liking you can actually be so emotionally healing. Like, I think even for me, like, yes, I've never been in love, but I remember the first time someone showed genuine interest in me, it almost healed like a little piece of like a little childhood trauma. Now, could I say that I could have probably gotten there on my own eventually?
Yeah, I totally agree.
But I think it almost like expedited the process a little bit.
Absolutely. And there's no doubt.
It had a level of affirmation that I needed. So I agree with you that it's important to be a provider, to be able to accept someone providing for you. You have to be a level of comfortability and love for yourself. But I also can see the argument of saying that, like, sometimes when you're experiencing that for the first time and you haven't reached that level, it can work. It may be hard, but it can work.
I think I would have 1,000% agreed with you before I went through what I went through. But I do think that's a cop-out. I think that if you allow that if you allow that thought to be anywhere near the front, that thought has to be way in the back. And what I said first was, you need to love yourself fully, like more than you've ever thought you were capable of loving yourself. And then you're still not ready, and then you need to do it again, and you'll find a new, deeper love for yourself. But if you allow what you just said to come anywhere near what I just said, you are gonna run into a lot of issues, because you more than likely will create a dependency on that love you just described, and you'll want it, and you'll say yes to a lot of things you probably wouldn't have said yes to.
Maybe if it was in a love situation, but I didn't have a dependency.
Yeah. Oh, so I guess you could.
You know, if it's
you better just pray that you don't create an attachment to this person.
People, and I know a lot of people with like anxious attachment styles. Yeah. And I think that's
which is why I think that's dangerous.
Yeah, which is the number one reason why I think they sometimes, like, people stay in relationships that they maybe not necessarily should always be in, but I think it's because I'm scared that I'm never going to experience this again.
And that creates attachment.
I think that does. Okay.
You don't want that.
You don't want that.
And it feels good, though.
It feels good. It's hard to let go of.
It'll be harder to let go of. then
oh my gosh, and
worked
recently-
on that. And here's the thing. Wait.
Go
Just-
ahead.
It's hard.
It's hard. No,
It's so fucking
it's
hard.
awful. Yeah, it's
It's
awful.
alone. You may feel alone. You're gonna feel lonely.
100%.
You have to feel lonely.
And also, you may question, like, especially if you break up. Sometimes people will break up realizing they have that attachment style.
Yeah.
And then when you first break up and maybe like, why the heck did I just break up with this person? Like,
Yeah.
I had such a great thing going.
Yes.
And you may like literally like kick yourself so
Mm-hmm.
many times. But I think like you're right. In the long run, you realize, okay, that made me stronger because now I know I don't care where I go in the future. I am dependent on myself and I know who I am. And anybody else would be an addition, but it's not you. Like you weren't. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We have to end the episode here.
On
All right.
this.
We'll keep going on the next episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. Bye.
Love